Hello, denizens of the internet. Welcome to Random Brain Farts. As you all know, I'm a YouTuber. You can tell because I'm on YouTube, and you are watching this on YouTube. If Spotify bought my show, would I leave YouTube and all you wonderful denizens? So Spotify is buying the Joe Rogan video podcast. Who is this Joe Rogan, you denizens might ask? Joe has a very popular podcast / YouTube channel. Checking the Social Blade stats, Joe has 8.41 million subscribers, 2.2 billion video views. He adds about 10,000 subscribers a day. And using the crazy wild earnings estimates of Social Blade, he's making anywhere from $34,000 to $500,000 a month. So that's just a little bit more than me. Even if you've never heard of Joe Rogan, it's important because Spotify just shot one across the bows of YouTube, Apple, Amazon, and Facebook. For now, I think it's only the YouTube version that is going to Spotify. I'm not sure about the Apple podcast or the massive library of Rogan podcasts that live there. In about a year from now, Joe will be exclusive, Spotify only. Now that's a tiny pimple on YouTube's ass, but could this be a watershed moment? So far, nothing has been able to challenge the YouTube, except in podcasts, Apple is first, and YouTube is actually second. Many people leverage their podcasts using video, but Apple is not making money from podcasts. Of course, neither Vimeo or Daily Motion really compete with YouTube. I'm not sure if they even pay anything. Do they? Anyways, Library is sort of paying people. It's a weird service. I'm on it. I don't quite understand it. Facebook would have been a perfect YouTube competitor. There are tons of videos just on Facebook, but FB doesn't want to pay anyone for their videos. If Spotify starts picking off YouTube podcast stars, then you are going to see such a scramble. Is this similar to when XM Radio purchased the exclusive talents of Howard Stern? Definitely not as earth-shattering, but just as interesting. Spotify will earn income from Joe Rogan's stream. That does sound a bit dirty, doesn't it? Anyway, but for now, because Spotify is a listening medium first and foremost, will anybody be watching Joe on Spotify's video service? I'm sure they hope to transfer some of Joe's watching audience. That's the risk Spotify is taking. Apple hasn't really advanced their podcast service in forever. I get that Apple wants to continue its position of agnostic podcast benefactor, the way they started, and that's noble, but they don't provide stats or anything. Apple is really just a rebroadcaster. You have to have your podcast hosted someplace else, like Podbean, and then connect it to Apple's podcast service. Apple has no original podcast content. Well, Spotify has been building up a library of original content for about a year. While I was writing this, news came out today that Apple is now looking to buy exclusive original content to promote Apple TV Plus, like anyone cares. This could be another HomePod fiasco for Apple, too little too late. But this could also be the start of a massive defection from YouTube to a video broadcaster that can actually pay people. If a large percentage of Joe Rogan's YouTube viewers come over to Spotify to continue watching the video version, then that would be a significant win. Obviously, there is no immediate advantage in picking off video-only YouTube stars like the abominable but largely popular David Dobrik. His audience dwarfs Joe's, with 17 million subscribers and 7.3 billion total views, but that's mostly to shut-ins and people with lobotomies. Would Spotify start enticing video-centric content? It could happen. I would suggest to Apple to stop friggin' around with Apple TV Plus and start hosting YouTube-style podcast videos on Apple Music and let them earn money through your streaming service. If Apple had scooped up Joe Rogan, I think everyone would have considered that an interesting twist worthy of Steve Jobs. But typical of modern-day Apple, they have the largest podcast audience. They've been watching a competitor openly tip its hand for a year, and they are going to blow this opportunity. It's only the beginning of this horse race, and we don't know who will win. But YouTube, Apple, Amazon, and even Facebook will have to have a response to this, and fast. In Adobe news, Adobe is finally adding support for Apple's Mac Pro Afterburner card for Premiere Pro. No, this is not a joke. The giant useless software company is actually trying to make their software a little less garbage. Adobe also announced that they are looking for Mac Pro users with an Afterburner card to test ProRes support so they don't have to buy a card for themselves for testing. Thanks, denizens. Till next time. What is it, Wancho? Oh, you don't have a Spotify account. Oh, and you don't want them to scoop up the exclusive rights to the best of Frantic Times? You mean that hilarious Canadian comedy troupe who had a radio show from the 1980s that they turned into 30 gut-busting podcasts? We'll just have to wait and see. So long, everyone.